Hi students, in this video I'll take you through all the steps that you need to complete to submit your XAT 27 application form. So let's begin. Now with respect to the XAT form, at the time of recording this video, so I'm recording it on 15 July and the registration is starting from today. Now as announced on the XAT website, if you register today, then you will get the city of your choice, the first preference that you put, and by 5th August you will also get a confirmation on the same. So let's look at some of the important dates first. So the registration has opened today and this will continue till 6 December. So you have ample time to register. Now, if you register today, it's great. But even if you register at a later point of time, that doesn't mean that you will not get the city of your choice, because there are 6 preferences that you can put. So you can go through all the city preferences that are available and then decide which ones you want to put, something that we'll be covering in this video. The admit card download will start from 20th December, so you will get to know the exact test venue. And finally, XAT is going to be conducted on 3rd of Jan 27 from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Now, important things, the registration fee has gone up by 100 rupees compared to last year. So last year it was 2200 and this year it is 2300. In addition to this, when you apply to the individual programs at XLRI, you will end up paying 200 rupees for every program that you apply to. So if you apply to 6 programs, you'll have to pay additional 1200 rupees. So for all the programs, it is going to be 200 rupees additional that you will have to pay. Okay. So now let's begin. Now, first is we'll give you a link in the description from where you can begin your application process. The website is XAT Online. So if you just search for it, you should be able to find it. But in any case, we'll give you a link in the description from where you can begin. So what you need to do is firstly, as I mentioned, right, if you submit your application on day 1, you get the first preferred test city that you mentioned and you get city confirmation by 5th August. Now, what you need to start, the place where you need to start is on the right hand side. So if you see here, it will show you sign up for XAT 27, enter your name, email address, mobile number, state, city, and all of those things. If you, let's say, had appeared for XAT last year, you can use the same login credentials. It's not going to be a problem because it's a completely new form. So don't worry about that. You can use the same credentials if you had appeared for XAT 26. But most of you will be appearing for it for the very first time. So just enter your name, email address, and so on. This will create your account. And once you have your account confirmed, because once you do this, you will get a mail in your mailbox and it will show something like this, that thank you for verifying your credentials and all of that. You may now directly log in. So you click on login and then you begin. So this is basically a confirmation of your email ID. One very important thing for those of you who are taking these exams for the very first time is to ensure that the mobile number and the email address that you give, don't change it throughout the application process. So it's important that you keep it throughout. It will really be useful. So one less thing to worry about. Now, then we go to candidate dashboard. So once you log in, you will see something like this. It will show there's no application number, application submitted, and all of that is blank at this point of time. It will show action as apply now. On the right hand side, it will show application initiated, payment approved, and application completed. So that will get highlighted once you've completed that particular step. So we'll start here, which is on the apply now button. Once you click, you will see the first screen. Now there are multiple steps that you need to complete to submit your application form. I'm going to walk you through all of them. So the first is basic details. Now there are some things that they have mentioned. Firstly, fields marked with asterisk are mandatory. You will receive your login ID, password on registered email ID and all of that. And you provide correct name, date of birth, mobile number, email address. These details cannot be changed at a later point of time. Okay. So your email ID, mobile number, you will not be able to change it. And that is why I mentioned that don't change it also throughout the process. Just keep something that you will use forever. A couple of important things is on the login side, in case you forget your login, there is also a provision to log in via OTP. So in fact, for the last 3 attempts, I was trying to log in. Every single time I use the OTP based login, because even if you forget the password, you can use that OTP. But it's always better to keep all these login IDs and password at one place. Again, an advice for those of you who are appearing for these exams for the very first time. People who have taken it earlier already know the drill. So we start with personal details. You can select title from the drop down, then your full name. Now this is editable field here, so you can change it at this point of time. And they have mentioned enter your full name exactly as it appears on your 10th grade mark sheet. Then you have the email address, which will get auto populated from the previous step. And then you can also enter alternate email address. Now that is not mandatory, so you can decide to skip it if you want. The mobile number will get auto populated, and you can also give an alternate mobile number. Now this is mandatory, so you'll have to give one more mobile number. If you don't have another mobile number, you can always give your parents or your guardian's number. Then under basic details, we have date of birth. So date of birth, once you have entered it, age as on 15 Jan 27 will get auto calculated. Gender, you can select, then you select nationality. Under category, you have general, EWS, OBC, SC, ST. These are the options. So there's no NC, OBC as a category. It's OBC as a category. Then you can select your blood group, and then there are some other questions that are there. So firstly, do you belong to PWD? Now, if you belong to PWD, there's a follow-up question whether you belong to visually impaired category. If you do, then whether you need a scribe for the test. And if you need a scribe, then there's one document that you will have to upload. It's a self-declaration. So scribe declaration form is something that you'll have to download, sign it, and then upload it at this stage. If it is not applicable to you, you can just say no there and you will not get those questions. Then you have questions on the Kashmiri migrant family. So do you belong to a Kashmiri migrant family, or do you belong to a Kashmiri non-migrant family? So whatever is applicable to you, you can enter that and then proceed. Then we have address for correspondence. Now, of course, there's nothing that they send on the actual address. So, but still you should enter it. You have country, state, district, city, and then you have address line 1, which is mandatory, address line 2, and then pin code, that is mandatory. So once you do this, now at any point of time, you can always do save and exit. But since we have completed all of these steps and done them accurately, we go to the next step. Now, till the time you make the actual payment, all of these fields are editable. Okay, so you can always come back and edit, apart from the ones that got auto-populated from the previous step. Okay, so then we move to parents or guardian details. Now, a couple of things here. They also ask you for, in case, let's say you mentioned that your father, mother, or guardian, if they are working somewhere, they will also ask you to enter the income details. So you should know roughly how much your parents, where do they fall in the income category. So you start with parents details. Again, you can have a single parent, father and mother, or guardian. Select the one that is applicable to you. Post that, the title, name, email address, mobile number, occupation, sector, industry. All of these are pretty standard, straightforward questions. So you know it better. You can just fill this. And once you're done, you can move on. As I mentioned, if you select private sector and whatever, they will also ask. For example, if you select retired, they will not ask you for the income. But if you say my parents are working somewhere, then you have to enter their income range as well. Then we move to important part, which is the academic category. So academic details. Now here you have to enter the marks the way they are on the actual mark sheet. So don't make any mistakes at this point of time. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to them. But otherwise, the standard thing to follow is that include all the subjects that appear on your mark sheet, right? That's the standard thing. Even in the CAT form, you do exactly the same. All subjects that appear on the mark sheet. So here they have mentioned, firstly, you'll have to select for the SSC or 10th or equivalent exam where you have done it. So state followed by the city, and then you have to enter the institute name. So institute name followed by board. There is a drop down for board, so you can select whichever is applicable. If you don't find it, other can be entered. Then you have board type. So whatever different board types that are there, you can again select via drop down. Year of passing and marking scheme. Now the good thing about the form, as it has been previously as well, they give you option to do CGPA out of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, etc. Right? So that's a good thing because a lot of students may not have percentage, and in that case they keep thinking about the conversion and all of that. So if you have CGPA, you can simply select CGPA out of, let's say, 8, and that's the CGPA that you got, so you enter it. If you select percentage, it will ask you to enter the opt-in marks, maximum marks, and the opt-in marks. But even with this, you will have to manually calculate the percentage and enter it on your own. So this field is not getting auto-calculated based on what you submit here. Rather, you have to enter it manually. Because some students may not have the exact whatever the conversion that is available. So in that case, you will have to just follow 600 upon 800. If there is some conversion like GPA, for example, then you can calculate the actual percentage and then enter it here. So calculate percentage and mention it in the opt-in percentage CGPA column. That's what you will have to do. Then for the 12th standard, exactly same set of questions, so I'm not going to do it again. But if you've done diploma, then you can enter diploma details. If you've done 12th, you can enter that. If you've done both, you can enter both as well. Okay, so that provision is there. Then we move to academic details 2 as the next section. In this, the first thing that they begin with is the professional degree question. So whether you have like a CA or a CS, ICWA, CFA, etc. Now, if you have done something, you can say yes, and then which degree. So now I've chosen CA, and in CA, it will ask me, okay, what is the degree completion status? So if you have done multiple, you can also select multiple. And for each of them, you will have to enter what is the marks that you obtained. So professional inter marks, final marks, month, year of course commencement is when you started your CA program, and then month and year of completion. So those are the required details if you have any professional qualification. Now let's say you don't have any. In that case, the answer to that question is no, and then there are no follow-up questions. Then we move to academic details 2. So in academic details 2, you basically have to enter your graduation details. So we start with graduation type. You have options such as dual, integrated, and single. So I've chosen single, then graduation stream, state, university, college, everything is available from drop-downs, so you can make the right choice. Then graduation university, college, institute type, like a state university or private university and so on. And then the marks that are obtained. Important thing they have given, mention the aggregate marks obtained across all the semesters and years till date. So whatever you have received so far, let's say you're a final year student, whatever you have obtained so far, you have to include all of them, take the total and enter it here. So here, very similar to what you had for 10th and 12th. So degree, discipline, year of passing, result status, so declared, awaited, etc. And then maximum marks, and obtained percentage. So pretty straightforward. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to them rather than making any mistakes. Then we have post-graduation question. Most of the students will not have this, but for those of you who have a postgraduate degree, you can enter it. Very similar to what you have for graduation details, so I'm not going to go through it again. But if you have it, fill the details and then you can move forward. Now then we come to the next important section, which is the work experience part. So here, if you have multiple experiences, you can put them. First question is, do you have work experience? And some important things is, firstly, enter your work ex as on 31st March 27. Only full-time experience after graduation must be entered, and part-time, project, internship, articleship, pre-graduation. So anything that you have done which is before you completed your graduation, or anything which is a mandatory requirement of your degree, for example, CAs have to do the articleship, that will not be considered as work experience. So you need to skip that. So it says mention the most recent experience first and so on up to 5 employments. Okay, so you start from the most recent one and then you go backwards. You select the job type, name of organization, designation, industry. If you don't know, select the one which is the closest description to what you do. Then company address and contact number, from date, to date, and work experience in months. So this gets auto calculated based on the from date and to date that you select. So total work ex, now you can always add more if you want. So if there are, let's say you have 2 different companies where you have worked, you can enter the recent one and then the previous one by selecting more. And then finally it will calculate the total work experience in months. Just ensure that it is matching what you have, and it will get calculated as on 31st March. So when you enter the current one where you are working, you will have to select to date as 31st March 2027. Now some of you might say that I'm going to quit next month and I know like an approximate date, in which case you can mention that. Okay, so the exact date can be a little bit here and there. For example, if I'm quitting, let's say in August, it doesn't matter whether I quit on 20th August or 21st August, right? That will not make a difference because they are taking month to month kind of a thing. So it's okay if you have like a tentative idea that, okay, I'm going to quit in this month and will get relieved mostly by this particular date. Because this is a classic problem with XAT form every single year, because they ask you to enter workex as on 31st March 27. Now this is only for people who are planning to quit. Let's say you have no plans of quitting, right? You're working somewhere. What do? You enter 31st March 2027 because you believe that you will continue to work till then. But only for those of you who have, let's say, put down your papers, or you know that, okay, you're going to quit on a certain date. In that case, rather than entering 31st March, you can choose the date that is more or less going to be the last working day. Okay, but otherwise 31st March 27 is like a standard recommendation for this. Now then comes the very important, possibly the most important section of the whole thing, which is program details. So unlike last year where you had 5 total programs, now you have 6 programs that you can apply for. What are the 6 programs? The PGDM BM, PGDM HRM, PGDM in General Management, then PGDM Logistics and Supply Chain Management, then PGDM IEV is what they call, Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Venture Development. And the latest addition is the PGDM Business Management International Specialization track. Okay, I'll explain all these programs to you so you know which one to enter. For each of the program choice that you make, firstly note this is not preference, right? So you can technically apply to all 6 programs. You don't have to indicate preference among these 6. But there are 2 programs between which you will have to indicate a preference, which is BM and HRM. I will explain on the next slide. So definitely I will say yes. I can't think of somebody applying to XAT and then saying no for this particular question. So say yes, and then we can talk about the programs. So firstly, I have option to select all 6 programs. And if you see this question, it says select the programs for which you need to apply, which you want to apply. I have selected BM, HRM, the General Management, Logistics, IEV, and Business Management International Specialization track, all of them. So I can apply to all 6. I just have to pay 1200 additionally. Important thing is whether I'm eligible for all of those programs or not, and that is why I need to read the eligibility and then only decide which ones I should be applying for. If you're selecting both HRM and BM, it will ask you for a preference, whether your first preference is BM or first preference is HRM. Now, what's the difference? A lot of students think that XLRI is known for HR, so I should not be applying for any other program. It's not like that. XLRI has HRM and BM, both are excellent programs. So those of you who want to do your general management, your strategy and so on and so forth, the regular MBA program, you apply for BM. Those of you are keen on HR, you apply for HRM or you apply for both. So between the two, you will have to indicate a specialization. For most students, that is going to be BM, unless there's somebody who knows that they want to do HR. So if they want to do HR over BM, you're free to do that. Okay. Your application will be considered for PGDM BM at both XLRI Delhi NCR and Jamshedpur campus. So you don't have to have a separate option that you indicate that, okay, a preference is Jamshedpur over Delhi. Your application is sent to both the Jamshedpur as well as Delhi campus. Now for the PGDM GM program, you need minimum 36 months of work experience. So let's say if you are less than that, correct, then you're not eligible for this particular program. So you cannot apply. Similarly, if let's say you're looking at program 6, which I will talk about, if you have a 3-year graduation program, then you're not eligible, right? So I'll talk about that, but just check the eligibility. All those documents are given just after this section. So I would suggest that you go through all of them. I'm giving you a gist of them, however, just for your quick reference. So firstly, the general management. Now the GM program earlier used to have 5-year eligibility, then they brought it down to 3 years, making it more accessible. So you need minimum 36 months of work ex till March 31st, 27. You can also apply via GMAT or GRE taken between 1st Jan 23 and 31st December 26. Okay. Now, important thing is, as you can see, you can also apply via XAT score. So those of you who have more than 3 years of experience as on March 31st, you should definitely apply to this program as well, right? So it's a very good program that they have been running for a very, very long time. So I would suggest that for 200 rupees, it is definitely worth a shot. Okay. Second, the logistics and supply chain management program, which was introduced a couple of years back. So it also gives you an MS in supply chain management and analytics. For this, you need to have first class in your 10th as well as 12th. So that's given under mandatory requirement. And you definitely need first class for your 3-year bachelor's degree. So minimum 3-year bachelor's degree is what you need for this program to be eligible with first division. Now, important thing is they've also given that you need to have, it should be firstly from a NAC accredited institution with a rating of at least A. Now, this condition is not applicable if somebody is coming from, say, an IIT, NIT, etc. So they have given that for some institutions, that is not a mandatory requirement. So not a mandatory requirement for reputed institutions like IIT, NIT, etc. Final year students can also apply. You can also apply via GMAT GRE score for this particular program, and WorkX is not mandatory. So they have mentioned that it is preferred, but it is not a mandatory thing to have. Again, these documents are very short, by the way, so it will not take you a lot of time to go through them. Please go through the program details, and only if you see there is a fit, then you apply. Otherwise, please don't apply. The next is PGDMBM International Specialization, as I mentioned. So the International Specialization is basically first year at XLRI and second year at a partner university in the US. I'll show you the names of the universities. So it gives you an opportunity to pursue second year at one of those partner institutions, and you get a double master's. One is PGDMBM from Excel and the other will be a master's degree from the partner university. Now this requires minimum 4 years bachelor's degree. People who have 3 years bachelor's will not be eligible for this international specialization track that is available. Some global partner universities will also require a TOEFL score, but that they're mentioned in the document that you can take it in the first year. So you don't need to have that score right now. You can join the program and at a later point of time you can take TOEFL, because the second year is at the partner university. So you have the first year to prepare for that experience. And finally, the PGDM IEB program, which again got introduced, I think last year, if I'm not wrong. And this particular program is offered only at the Delhi campus. So this is not offered at Jamshedpur. And one very important thing is this program does not have a placement assistance. So this is not a typical MBA program. This is only for students who want to have their own venture. For this program, you don't even have to take the XAT. So in case there's somebody watching the video and that person knows that they're not looking at placement, they want to do something in venture development and entrepreneurship, they can apply for this particular program without XAT as well. There's an option to do that, which was there last year as well. Okay, so that's the core of all of these programs. I would definitely suggest for students who are eligible to apply to as many programs as you can, because it's just additional 200 rupees. You can always recover that money in some or the other way. So rather than having a regret at a later point of time that, okay, I should have applied for this, it's better to apply right now. So international specialization, for example, if you get through, you can always decide what you want to do, correct? But if you're eligible today, you have a 4-year degree, you are eligible for that, please go ahead and apply it. If you don't want to apply to so many programs, at least apply for the BM and the HRM programs, the typical MBA programs that are available. And if you have more than 3 years of experience, you apply for the general management program. Okay. If you have any questions on programs, let me know in the comment section and I'll try and get back as soon as I can. Now, after you have done with the program selection, there aren't many things remaining. Before we get there, for the international specialization track that they have, these are the partner universities. Now, they have mentioned that these tracks can change, and they have classified this as STEM and non-STEM. For example, there's one on healthcare analytics classified as STEM. Similarly, there are others that are classified as STEM or non-STEM. This is a tentative list. Okay, now the exact list for 2027, 29, that's the batch, will change or might change is what they mentioned. So you may have some additional partner universities could be added, or the existing tracks that are available can change. So if you're interested in some of them, right, for 200 rupees at this point of time, it is worth applying. That's what I'm trying to say. Of course, the program fee increases significantly, because for whatever you basically pay first year fees at XLRI, the second year expenses are essentially in the US. So it is going to be expensive for sure. It might provide you opportunities to work, but again, that is subject to a lot of things, a lot of variables. 2029 is something that is too unpredictable at this point of time. Okay, so think about it, but I would say spend 200 and just apply at this point of time. You have enough time to decide later whether you actually want to go and do it or not. Okay? Then comes test city. So all of this, essentially the first day, sort of the rush that is happening is because of this, right? So what's the issue, right? Let me tell you, for those of you who are not very familiar. So in the last several years, unfortunately, candidates have got centers which are really far off, 100, 200, 300, 500 kilometers away. The problem, because, and that's a big problem, right? You have to bear the extra cost. There's a lot of stress. You have to travel, you have to plan your stay, all of those things. So it's a lot of hassle. And that's why they have mentioned that those of you who register on the first day, which is 15 July, you get the first test city preference. Does that mean that people who register later, let's say I register in August, does that mean that I'll not get my first city preference? No, it's not like that. You may or may not. That's where the difference is. So there are 6 city preferences, but there are very limited city options. Okay, so make sure that you try and fill the form as soon as you can. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Just submit the cities, starting from whichever is the nearest to you, the most convenient to travel, the most accessible options. So you put them and then you move forward. So once you're done, you also need to enter this, whether if you get shortlisted, where do you want to appear for your interviews and all of that. There are very limited options available here. There's also an option called not sure. So in case you don't know where you will be appearing, you can maybe select that. And finally, uploading documents. Now, till last year, or rather last year itself, they allowed DigiLocker documents. This year, surprisingly, they have removed it. So you have to only upload. And one passport size photo, one signature, 1 MB is the size limit, JPG, and PNG. If you have a file size which is more than this, use picresize.com to compress it under 1 MB. Then proof of identity, Aadhaar, PAN, driving license, and so on. You have to enter the number and upload the document as well. And finally, you have the declaration. Now, before you sign the declaration, right, make sure that you go through the preview. So the entire application that you have written so far, preview it, check all the details and so on. And why this step is important, right, is because every year we get students who make sometimes errors even while typing their own name. So don't take things for granted. Please take a lot of care while submitting this, because there are some things that you will not be able to change. If you make some mistake somewhere, right, maybe you can write to them and see if it is something that can be edited. But otherwise, don't do that. Don't take chances. Go through the preview, verify all the details, and once you're certain that, hey, I have completed everything the way it should be written, then you make the payment. So click on application fees and it will show you something like this. So your email, phone number, and order number. Here right now it is showing me 2,900 because I selected 2,300, which is the XAT application fee, and I selected 3 programs, the BM program, HRM program, and the international track. So that is why 600 rupees additional. So once you're done with this, make the payment. You will get a confirmation in your mail that this is your XAT ID, etc. And on your dashboard, the status will change. It will now show you your XAT application ID. So with this, you have completed XAT application form. So XAT and XLR application, as we saw, is an integrated process. Once you fill this form, your application to XLRI is also done. That is what they're charging 200 rupees per program for. So you don't have to apply to XLRI then separately. So XAT, the moment you're done with these additional application form fees, you're done with XLRI application as well. Okay. So that brings us to the end of this video. I hope it has helped you. Thank you so much for watching. We make form filling videos for pretty much all the exams. So I hope once the other exams open up, the applications begin, you will come back to the channel and watch those videos. If you haven't subscribed, do it right away, and I'll see you very soon in some of the other videos. Thank you so much for watching. Wish all of you all the best.